Welcome, Dots viewers. It's episode 10 of the Down on the Sidelines podcast here in season 2. Can't wait for this one here on the home sideline here in Stevens Point. I actually get to be the home team. It feels like I'm not home team that many times. Is Brendan Retzloff, aka Bretts.golf. 99 Bretts, Brandini, right here.
And on the away sideline at Lakeland University, it's Matt Crowley, aka Matty Icy. It's your boy. Back at again, episode 10, heading into halfway through the season. It's already crazy to think about that.
Man,
We're
I
already
can't
halfway
believe
through
that
the
we're at
season.
that point. I cannot believe that we're this far into the NFL season. It seems like it just started yesterday,
It
man.
really did. It's insane to think of how fast everything's been flying, all the games and all this. We're gonna go over, but we already have our mid-season awards.
And I think that segment of our show is going to be the more exciting part. But I'm also very curious to see what our top 10s are because there have been a lot of mix-ups that have been going on in the NFL this year, and
Like
including with injuries.
injuries, losing streaks, winning streaks.
Is Matt, we had a team that was way up there when they were riding a pretty high note,
We
but
thought they were unbeatable this season. Now look at them.
and they've lost 3 straight. And those viewers could probably refer to who we're talking about, but we're not gonna say who this team is. You'll find out in our top 10 segment. But then, as always, we'll go over predictions. And then it looks like Matt, you're gonna say something.
Yeah, honestly, if you've been keeping up with the first half of the podcast of the season, you always know I'll be rocking the chains and the glasses. Well, I'm not doing that because Kirko Chains is no more. If you didn't know, when my Vikings beat Brendan's Packers this past Sunday, Kirko had torn his Achilles and is out for the year. And out of desperation, we got Joshua Dobbs, which I am very concerned.
The good news is you guys have a little bit of
Oh, on time out,
experience.
Brendan. Did you update the records for week 9? Or no,
Yeah,
this
I
is week.
updated. I updated our own records
Oh, this is week 9. Yeah. Okay, never mind.
from week 8. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, yeah.
Oh,
I guess
shit.
we can go over that first.
Hey,
We
we
did a
we,
lot
we
better
did
this week.
amazing.
We did so much better this week. It's not even funny. So let's just go over what happened in week 7, which I mean, it's forgettable for us to say the least.
Yeah, that's a week that we don't want to think about.
Week 7, Matt, you went 4-9.
Yeah,
This week,
this is coming off of the best record we've had this season. I went 12-3.
12-4. There were 16 games last week. No teams had a bye
Oh, I'm
last
talking about
week.
week 6 because I went into
Oh.
week 7
I got you.
with the best
I got
record
you.
ever out of 12-3, and then I dropped the ball going 4-9.
Yeah, you talk about a big turnaround, and then in week 8, Matt, you went 12-4. As for me, last week I went 6-7, so slightly better. But then I went 11-5. The only games that I believe we had different were the Thursday night football game, and then there was one other one. I'm trying to remember what it was.
Wait, that
That
was the
made
week
me
that Minnesota beat San Fran.
well, actually,
Yeah, it was.
so I was only one game behind you
Oh, you
this
were
week.
2.
But we had a few different games for picks. Like the Thursday night game, I know I chose the Buccaneers over the Bills. That is a bad decision, even though the Buccaneers actually came really close.
They had a fighting chance.
But then there were a couple of other games that were in there that we had differently. I'm trying to remember what they are, but they're not coming to my head at the moment. But hey, this means we had a big turnaround in week 8. We're at the halfway point of the season. Our overall records, I don't think I have that down, Matt.
Well, we can switch that up real easy. So, I got 12 wins. So that puts me at 69 wins.
Nice.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
In 4 losses, puts me at. Yeah, I am 69-37.
Impressive. And currently in our overall standings, Matt has a 5-game lead on me. I'm 64-42 after going 11-5 that week. But hey, things can totally change this week as I
It
believe
did.
there's only
It can.
14 games this week. I mean, we'll go over all those games in our predictions. Matt does have something going on later, so we're gonna
Yes.
have to try to pick things up.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get into this right away. Let's talk about the trade deadline because that just happened here on Halloween. Some noticeable
Huge.
ones were Montez Sweat to the Bears, Chase Young going to San Fran, Joshua Dobbs going to Arizona,
Or going to Minnesota.
going to Minnesota. Thank you. Ezra Cleveland going to Jacksonville, and
Yep.
Rasul Douglas going to Buffalo. I think those were the only trades that ever happened. It was a
The-
calm, very calm trade deadline.
And I was very surprised about that. There were not that many trades that went down. I think you're right. Those were really the only ones. But, like, it made sense for Minnesota. They needed to go pick up a quarterback because, I mean, when you lose Kirk Cousins, he looked like one of those MVP
He
frontrunner
was having
candidates.
an MVP year. First in touchdown passes, second in touch in passing yards, and third in passer rating.
Yep.
I mean, top 3 in all 3 of the biggest 3 QB stats.
And I mean, he's such a lovable guy too. I mean, like the fact that he went to Michigan State and he beat Wisconsin that one year off of a Hail Mary, like yeah, it really sucked to see that happen. And then like you see him just transpire into this NFL starting quarterback. I mean, starting off in Washington after Robert Griffin III, I thought it was a really great thing for him. And then he had the You Like That game like 7 years ago or something like
Yeah,
that,
against
close
Tampa.
to this day. And then you see him go to Minnesota. And being a Packer fan, it's like, great, this guy is going to Minnesota. I haven't liked this guy at all until I watched that quarterback's documentary. I mean, I learned so much more about Kirk Cousins from that, and I really started to really show respect for the guy and really appreciate him. And that injury, man, it happened to Rodgers, and now it just happened to Kirko.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel so sorry for him. I'm glad to hear that he's doing well, though. Did you
Yeah,
see
he's
right after his surgery, there was a kid who ended up going over to their practice facility and Kirk Cousins signed like a bunch of stuff for the kid.
It was like the
And
day
like,
after his surgery. Usually, like most NFL players wouldn't even do that.
no way. They'd probably just be chilling back at their mansion,
Yeah.
just basically doing nothing but recovering. But Kirk Cousins, you gotta love the guy. He's probably turning into one of my favorite players,
Mm-hmm.
which is crazy to say.
Yeah, I'll say QBs were riddled. You had Stafford with a Ritter with a ribs or concussion. Yeah, it was concussion. Kenny Pickett and Tyrod Taylor with rib injury. So very, very, and obviously Kirk Cousins with his torn Achilles. So a
Mm,
very injury-prone QB week. Like we
yeah,
said,
many injuries. But I was just gonna ask you, what do you think the biggest move was in the trade deadline?
I think
I
San
know
Fran
mine.
getting Chase Young.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest one. Because that reunites Nick Bosa and Chase Young back to their Ohio State days.
And if you look at what the potential defensive line is for this 49ers team, it's really insane.
It's
You got Chase
Bosa,
Young,
Hargrave,
Malik Armstead.
Armstead, and then Chase Young.
Yeah, like those guys, I want to say they've combined for about 15 or 16 Pro Bowl appearances.
Mm-hmm.
So San Francisco is definitely a team to watch after the trade deadline. And I mean, this was the same thing last year, too. They got Christian McCaffrey from the Panthers in a trade. And I mean, by far right now, the 49ers are winning that trade. But I don't think you clearly win a trade until you win a Super Bowl. I think once you win a
Mm,
championship, that's when you truly win.
I mean, you can see how much San Fran has benefited from McCaffrey. It's like no
Oh,
different with the trade when we sent Diggs to Buffalo. Obviously, we won that because that was Buffalo's pick.
yeah, for sure. And then you guys also got Bynum from that trade, right?
I think so. I think we drafted him, which one of the best safeties in the league. Don't at me, but he's becoming starting a very lovable player.
Oh yeah, he's been playing really well. And then he did the worm in the one game. I think he wanted to do the worm at Lambeau, but he didn't.
Probably.
Like he was getting ready to do it. He was like dropping down, and then he's like, "Nah, I'm not gonna get flagged for doing this." So I mean, yeah, that's just one thing to touch on with the trade deadline.
Mm-hmm.
So moving forward, though, I came up with a pretty good idea here. I was thinking, what if we went over the contender teams, and then we talked about their greatest weaknesses,
So you want to do?
so far at the midpoint of the year.
Yeah. So what teams? Honestly, Eagles, Chiefs. Well, I guess this could be any team.
I would say are the teams who are currently winning in their divisions, as well as maybe a couple teams who are in second in their own divisions. So like we can start off, yeah, let's just start off with the AFC West. Start off with the
Chiefs.
Kansas City Chiefs.
Um, this might sound really funny, but it depends if Taylor Swift's at the game. Um,
There's no way you said that.
I know, I hate bringing it up. I shouldn't bring it up, but I think it's too funny of a stat to say to leave it out. But it's like when Travis Kelsey plays and Taylor Swift isn't at the game, he averages like 50 yards a game. But when she is, he averages like 145 yards a game. It's like something
All right.
stupid. But
So I have the legit stats for you on this. This is according to CBS.
yep.
So I assumed you were gonna say this, and this was also mine too. I'm not kidding. So I had it prepared. Travis Kelsey was averaging 46.5 yards per game without Taylor Swift in attendance. And so far, with Taylor Swift in attendance this year, he's averaged 115.3 yards per game, as well as 1.7 touchdowns. So he
Yeah.
almost has 2 touchdowns per game, which is just
Mm-hmm.
insane
No,
considering that they've been together for like
a month.
6 games
Yeah, a
or
monthish.
5 games this year or something like
Month and a
that.
half, somewhere around there. But
So
no, besides the Taylor Swift thing, I think the real problem is that they don't have a solid receiving core. They don't have a definite number one receiver. And the number one receiver is their tight end.
oh yeah, for sure. Travis Kelsey, he is most definitely the guy. I think Patrick Mahomes really relies on him, and yeah, people can say like it is Mahomes' flu game last week, but I think the
Whatever.
narrative for that crap is so stupid because I think if the Chiefs would have won, people would have been glazing over Mahomes like he's
Mm-hmm.
Michael Jordan because Michael Jordan did the same thing. But
Yeah.
people are thinking it wasn't the flu; he was hungover because he was at the World Series the day before
Yeah, it could be a
between the
true.
Rangers and the Diamondbacks. Congrats to New York Rangers, or not the New
Yes.
York,
Texas.
the Texas Rangers,
Good
not the
lord.
hockey team. Hockey season just started over here, so I'm on the hockey excitement
I was gonna
tour,
say
but
you probably broadcasting for hockey right now.
I am not, dude.
Oh.
I don't know how to broadcast for hockey. I would suck at that.
All right. Next team, we'll say in the AFC, which is let's go to the North. Who leads the North? Baltimore.
Baltimore is on top.
All right. You can start with this one because I still kind of need to think about what their biggest weakness is.
So, I mean, overlooking how they have played this year, I don't think they're gonna win their division. I think it's gonna be the Bengals because they just caught fire. Um, but I would say that Baltimore's biggest weakness is against teams who are playing more so of a zone coverage on defense. Like Mark Andrews has really lit it up against man coverage this year, and same for Lamar Jackson. Both of them have that connection too. And the rookie class of the Ravens is performing horrific right now. Zay Flowers, just an outstanding wide receiver there, out of SMU for the Ravens. But yeah, I would say it's just how Lamar Jackson plays into man coverage. So the only thing that's really stopping him is these defenders playing in zones or a spy, so Lamar can't really run the ball. Because Lamar, he's known to go ahead and do that.
Yeah. Um, I think you're very right about that. They do have troubles playing in zone defenses. And I think that like you said, the Bengals are coming back, so they probably will take over the North, but it's still gonna be interesting. But I
And
think that they gotta figure out that running back situation because their running back room is very very shallow.
yeah, losing J.K. Dobbins early in the year,
And
that
also,
really
and you
stings.
also gotta figure out how you get your receivers to stop dropping passes.
I'm not sure how many drops that the
I
teams
think they
had.
have the most drops in the league. I'm pretty sure that receiving
I'm
core.
I'm surprised it's not the Packers.
Well, there was one game where the Ravens had like 10 I think it was 7. I think it was pretty sure it was against Pittsburgh.
Mm. And yeah, that's another one of their weaknesses. The Steelers, they just know how to play against the Ravens. I think they've won like 5 of their last 6 games against them,
Mm-hmm.
which is just crazy to me. But yeah, we both think that the Bengals are gonna go and take over, just because of their recent victories and I mean how much success they have right now. But you also gotta say that Lamar Jackson, as he's my profile picture here on Discord, big trust. He is having an MVP caliber type of season this year. After that, a pretty dominant performance against the Cardinals, but that's the Cardinals. So we
Yeah.
can move on to our next team in the AFC. Let's go to the South, Matt.
All right, my Jaguars.
Your
My
Jags.
Jaguars.
Duval.
Duval. Ooh, what do they need to work on? Receiving core is good. Their offensive line is good. Defense is above average. I don't know. I'm trying to think of. I don't know. Maybe just try and stay healthy with Trevor Lawrence. Um, but that's not really big that much of an issue. Um, hmm.
I've done a little research on this one. Here, I'll try to help you out a little bit. So,
This is not
according
because
to
this is my team. I generally do not know what to fix about that team.
um
If it really comes down, it's going to be coming to the weather when they play in the playoffs. Because I don't think there'll be a 1 or 2
fair.
seed. There'll be a fourth or third seed.
That's fair. People are saying it's the offensive line. That's what most of America
Okay.
is saying.
I really don't know who's on that offensive line. I mean, Etienne is still running really good.
And it's
If he's really having that bad an offensive line, he's still putting up those numbers. He should be
I
getting
think
something.
I don't think it's more so the rushing part of the offensive line. I think
Pass
it's the
blocking.
pass blocking, because Trevor Lawrence, he's been pressured on 45% of his snaps this year, which is the third worst in the NFL. So if Jacksonville can sharpen that up a little bit, I mean, this team's looking pretty dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, after the first 2 or 3 weeks in the NFL season, they looked like garbage, but they've really picked things up. And this is going back to what we both said early on in the year. We said that the combo of second year, third year starter in Trevor Lawrence, and then with Doug Peterson in his second year coaching, it's just like the Philadelphia Eagles when Doug Peterson won the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really interesting. I'll put that as that their pass blocking needs to be better, which is probably yours as well.
Yes.
So Yeah, I'll say then it also comes down when it comes to playoffs. You need to go probably travel up north where it's going to be cold. Then that brings us to the AFC East, which is the Buffalo Bills. And this is my AFC team, and the one thing they need to get better at is being consistent. I feel like they're 1 week they're a top caliber team that could win the Super Bowl, and then next week they barely beat the Giants. So I think their problem is being consistent with everything. They can't play consistent ball, and they when they don't play consistent, they lose. They win in very close games, but That's not going to fly in the playoffs against the Dolphins. Wait, no, the Dolphins are the leaders, aren't they?
Um, the Dolphins are, yeah, they only have 2 losses. I think the Bills are at 3.
Yeah. Never mind. The Miami Dolphins. Never mind. Um, check that. I totally knew that. Dolphins. Kind of same thing with Jacksonville. They're gonna have to go up. Actually, they might have to play down Miami the whole season, depending how that route goes. Um, one thing that I will say is that you looked at their 5 wins because they lost to Philly. They got pretty beaten bad. Um, None of those teams had a combined win. Not win total. None of them had a win over 3. Besides the Chargers, who are now 3-5, they just beat Bears last Sunday night. But that's besides the point. They were 2-5, and 2-5, 1-6, 0-6. It was Carolina, Giants. It was like the bottom 5 teams in the league, and that's not. Yes, Denver was one of them, but they get Jalen Ramsey back, which honestly he did pretty good against the Patriots on his debut. But yeah, I think that when it comes to tougher competition, I think they're really going to struggle. Just because they have the best offense in the league doesn't mean they're the best team.
For sure. And for me, I would say that it's more so how they play against teams above a 500 record. So far they're 0-2 against teams who are playing above 500, and it's pretty shocking. But I mean, the games they lost, the Bills, and they lost to the Eagles. So obviously, yes, those 2 teams are contender teams, but that's what you have to do in the football season. You have to beat these teams that are contender teams so you can be known as one of those teams that's a force to be reckoned with. Rather than since they lost to these 2 teams and they haven't I don't think they've beat a team that's above 500
I don't think so. I
this
think
year.
they lost to Baltimore, if I believe.
They haven't played Baltimore yet this year. So, the Dolphins, I think the only best game that they've had thus far
Okay, you want to know
is
something really crazy? I'm sorry.
what's crazy.
They lost 31-17 against the Eagles, and they beat the Patriots 31-17.
Oh, same score.
Same score. Oh, they
I'm trying to
lost?
think of their what was their schedule?
Oh, they lost? No, that's preseason. No, they lost to the Bills.
Yeah, they lost to the Bills and they lost to the Eagles this year.
Yep.
Those are the losses I know they had, but
They're all above 500.
their best win, I think, is the Chargers.
They beat them by 2.
I think, and that's a scary win right there. You beat the LA Chargers only by 2 points, and I believe in that game, I think Austin Eckler got injured or something, but I think it's a scary thing to think about that if you're the Dolphins, that the Chargers are the best team that you beat. There's not too much else for me to really say about this team. I'd also tell them not to get overconfident in their team. They have a big game against the Chiefs in Germany this week. So if I'm Coach Mike McDaniel, who is definitely the best styled coach and maybe one of the funniest coaches around in the league. I would just tell these guys to keep playing to their identity. And another scary thing to me is what if something happens to Tua again?
I don't know.
No,
That's
no
gonna
one's
be
really talked about that. Injuries, they happen, and there've been a lot this year. So I don't want to say anything's gonna happen to Tua, but we saw what happened when stuff happened to Tua last time. This team kind of fell off a cliff.
it really did. But let's go to the NFC.
Yes,
Let's start with our division, the North, which is run by the Lions. For me, it comes down to experience. Not, no, I don't think, if not any of those guys, if maybe a few, Jared Goff and C.J. Gardner Johnson. Um, I think they're the only two who has playoff experience. No one else on that team has playoff experience.
absolutely.
So that's my biggest concern for them.
Playoff experience is definitely a thing that we have seen in lots of teams recently that is very and fairly important. So I'm in total agreement with you there. I would have said the playoff experience factor as well. Just thinking about their roster, it's just the age. They're young and they haven't been to the playoffs before. This would be the first time for them making the playoffs since I believe 98.
No, they made the playoffs in 2012. They haven't won a game
But they
since
didn't win.
98.
Yeah, but they didn't win. So since it's been that long for them, I feel like that's something that's against them. And once they get to the playoffs, that's when the experience is important. Because if you don't have that experience, you're going to have a bunch of people, kind of like your situation you had when you went to US Bank for that football game to play. And lots of your team kind of took it as like, okay, we're playing at US Bank Stadium where they've played a Super Bowl before, where the greats have played, and we've seen a miracle happen here, and they let that get to their head.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing against the Lions right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Moving
That's.
on to
Yeah. We can
go ahead.
go into a different division. Yeah. Basically, playoff experience. Going into, let's go to the West, which is actually the Seahawks now. So Seattle Seahawks lead the division at 5-2. They're a half game above the Niners.
Do you want me to go first on
Yeah,
this
you
one?
can go first on this one. I'm kind of think.
So Pete Carroll, he's a great coach, obviously, and he's done absolutely amazing things in Seattle. We've seen the Legion of Boom happen, and the Legion of Boom died, but like he still kept his team up. And I mean, with a lot of things going on, Geno Smith is really stepping up as a captain and being in that starter role, which has just really shocked me. Because Geno Smith, I mean, he seems like just one of those average quarterbacks, but this year he's playing with a lot of determination. And I would say that once again, the age of their defense might be their biggest weakness. They don't really have guys who are like in their prime age. It's either you have really young players, Devin Witherspoon being one of them, probably going to be defensive rookie of the year in my opinion. And you have the older guys like Bobby Wagner, who was a part of the Legion of Boom. But I mean, just thinking about their team, they've actually given up quite a bit of points per game this year. Obviously, they've had some games where they've really stepped up defensively, but I'm gonna look at their schedule here.
I'll just say, I don't know what I really need to change about the Seahawks.
So they gave up 20 points to the Browns, still without Deshaun Watson. I don't even think PJ Walker was even quarterback in that game either. I mean, yeah, they lost to the Bengals, but they barely gave up anything to the Giants. The Panthers gave up 27, Lions 31. That game was a shocker. And then the season opener, later they just got absolutely slaughtered by the Rams. But, I mean, I would just say it's their age defensively. I think
Yeah, that
that's
was going to be
the
my
only
thing.
I'm
I
gonna
think it
back.
might be coming down to the age. that they have a whole lot of vets and age is going to slow them down.
Like they just don't have guys who are in like their prime age right
Mm-hmm.
now.
They're too young or they're way too old.
Yep, agreed. So moving on to our next division, let's go to the East.
All right, which is the
So looking
Eagles.
at the Philadelphia Eagles,
This is not the same Eagles team. I think we can say that before. This is not the same Eagles team from
yeah,
last year. Really trying to nitpick because it's, I don't know, they're just not playing the same. I think it's going to come down to their OC because they do have a new offensive coordinator, but obviously you see like how different it's running and see how much, I don't want to say struggling, but like having a harder time putting points up on the board.
I I'll say that like I can see where you're coming from with that, where like they're having a little bit of a harder time, but you just gotta look at how they've been playing this year. Clearly, they're the number one team in the league right now, but yeah, they did lose some bits and pieces of that team. But I mean, their offense actually feels like they're quite complete. I mean, Lane Johnson, Jason Kelsey being there as the front of the line, and then having Jalen Hurts, who I thought was going to win MVP last year, being your quarterback. And once again, he's playing another great year this year. And last week, I think he threw for like 4 touchdown passes. So he played really well. And then DeAndre Swift, he's really stepping up as a starter,
Mm-hmm.
as a running back. And their defense, too. I mean, I feel like they're playing pretty great as well. So I would almost say maybe their division could be their weakness.
It could be
Um,
they play Dallas this week.
the East is always a really interesting division to look at, and yeah, they do play the Cowboys. So hopefully my statement can hold true, and maybe they lose to the Cowboys to get a little bit of humble pie, maybe. But I mean, there's not much that's wrong with Philly, except that they just lost a couple of pieces, but they
Yeah,
handled it really well. And then let's go to the South, our last one here.
which is run
And the
by the
South
Falcons, I
is
think.
the South is a very
Tight.
not.
Well,
I believe it is the Falcons on top. They did lose last
yes,
week
it's
though,
the Falcons and
or is it
Saints.
tied?
They're tied, but Falcons are on top technically.
I mean, I have a clear one with this here.
Um,
Desmond Ritter.
Injuries, offensive line. I
I would
mean,
have just said Desmond Ritter right off the bat, because like
he's not playing
he's
next week's game.
he's just not. He hasn't been performing to the expectations that this team's had. He's almost played like Marcus Mariota did last year.
Mm-hmm.
I had a tickle in my throat.
No, you're right about that. It's their offensive line isn't the greatest. They're just not. Their head coach is horrific. Arthur Smith should not be a head coach in this league, in my opinion. He's
I'm
not
very
been doing.
shocked about that. That he's a head coach too. Speaking of head coaches, we didn't talk about this, but it sounds like we're done with our weaknesses. Um, Josh McDaniels fired.
Yes,
He's out
I forgot about
of
that.
he's out of
And their
Las
GM.
Vegas. And their GM. I forgot their GM's name.
And Aiden O'Connell is his start. Jimmy
It'll
G
be
got benched.
interesting.
Jimmy G got benched.
Yeah, it'll be interesting over there in Vegas. Devontae Adams is pissed. What's our next order of business here, Matt?
Not midweek, mid-season awards. We got less than like 30 minutes. So, first
Let's
one,
go.
let's. Okay, we're just gonna write down the list how you have them. Offensive Rookie of the Year. Well, I have two in mind.
I also have two in
I
mind.
think we may be talking about the same two.
All right, you say one and I say the other,
All
okay?
right. Three.
You can go first.
C.J. Stroud and Jordan Addison.
I was actually not going to say either of those.
I feel like one of them might have been Puka.
Puka Nacua,
Yep.
he's one of them for me. And then the other one
Bijan.
is, it's not Bijan, it's Zay Flowers.
What?
Zay Flowers.
I don't like that one.
Bro,
I can agree with Puka. I can agree with Puka. Puka has a as a validation, but Zay Flowers doesn't. He's like the fourth best rookie receiver in his class. Jordan Addison leads everything besides yards, which is led by Puka. He's second in the NFL for receiving touchdowns behind Tyreek Hill.
I mean, I I understand the touchdown stat, but like I don't think Zay Flowers has had a single drop this year, which is
He's
crazy.
Do you know how I mentioned that the Ravens had one game they had dropped 7 passes?
Yes.
Zay Flowers, I think, had 2 drop passes that game.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, well, to my prediction, I'll still stick with it, but I would say my top leader right now is Puka. Puka Nacua.
Respectable.
So who are you going with?
It's between C.J. Stroud and Jordan Addison. Just because Addison has been one of the best rookie wide receivers, and also because I'm biased because he's on the Vikings. But at the same time, C.J. Stroud is doing good. He's doing amazing. He's the best rookie quarterback there is right now. Honestly, if Anthony Richardson wasn't injured, he will probably be in this picture.
Yeah, I agree. Anthony Richardson would have been in there, but Stroud sucked last week.
Yeah, he didn't do very good. So if that's the case, Addison's been consistent every week. I'm gonna go with Jordan Addison.
Okay, respectable. Respect. On to our defensive rookie of the year. I already said mine when we were talking about weaknesses.
Oh yeah, it's Devin Witherspoon, isn't it?
Devin Witherspoon.
That's mine as well. I'm picking
is my
Devin
defensive rookie of
Witherspoon
the
from
year.
the Seattle Seahawks, best cornerback. And I don't know if you haven't seen, but they released Rookie of the Months, and Jordan Addison won it, and Devin Witherspoon.
I did not
won
check
it.
that.
Yeah, for offense, Jordan Addison won, and for defense, Devin Witherspoon won.
I'm gonna check out Devin Witherspoon's stats here. So he only has one interception this year, but he's got a couple of sacks. But that interception he had was a pick six, I
That was
believe.
against the Giants.
Yes.
That's where he went off that game. He had like 13, I think he had like 15 tackles, 3 sacks, and a pick 6.
Mm-hmm. I would say another rookie too, on the Seahawks to maybe watch a little bit is Jackson Smith-Njigba on offense.
JSN. He caught the game winner last week.
And that's his only touchdown that he has this year, but I think he
He
could
gets
make his
overlooked
presence
because he has
known.
DK and Lockett as his 1 and 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're both in agreement. Devin Witherspoon.
Yep.
Next, we got Offensive Player of the Year. I think, without a doubt, this is usually a non-QB award. It's Tyreek Hill.
Oh, okay. I was going to say Christian McCaffrey.
Those are these. Okay, these two are very up for debatable because Tyreek Hill is the fastest player ever in NFL history to beat 1,000 yards in only 8 weeks.
That is a really good statistic.
And he's on pace to break Megatron's record. And I think in my mind, he should be the first. Actually, I'm going to save that for later.
He like Tyreek Hill, he is an absolute menace on the field. He's got speed. He's basically got almost every aspect you want in wide receiver except for height. But I think the fact that he's a shorter dude, like, also shows how much grind he puts into his work. But with Christian McCaffrey, here's the reason why I have him as my offensive player of the year. He has scored a touchdown in 17 straight games, dating back to last season. So not including playoffs or anything. Christian McCaffrey, I believe he's also leading the league in amount of broken tackles out of the backfield because he does have a lot of receptions that he just get off his screen passes. And I feel like he's really carried the 49ers offense into what they really are. And he's helped Brock Purdy become a better leader on the field, as well as, I mean, even on the sideline when they're trying to work out things. But Christian McCaffrey, he's been everywhere. And it's a valid argument. You can say both of these guys can win it.
Yeah,
I think they're both up there for the MVP as well.
I think so too. All right, next we got Defensive Player of the Year. I'm going to pick an underdog with this one.
This one has been a little bit tough for me
Because
to.
everyone on defense is balling out, but there's one stat that sticks out to me, and it's the sack leader right now in the NFL.
The sack leader. Who's the sack leader? I'm trying to think. You just did a celebration for him. I know that for sure. Is it Myles Garrett?
No, this is a thing because they're
Really?
very. Hold on, say hi to Be Real.
Salt Be Real. Be Real must have went off.
Yeah, it did.
Um,
My Minnesota Vikings, Daniil Hunter. I don't think he gets as much respect as he does. He's been balling out this year. I mean, he leads the league with 9 sacks. I mean, he has
9 sacks. Yeah, it's pretty good.
That's good. He's a top 5 in pressures, I do believe. So, yeah, you got to look at that. I think he's not getting the love that he needs because it's by Myles Garrett, Micah Parsons, and T.J. Watt. So I'm going for a little
Yeah,
underdog pick. I'm going with Daniil Hunter.
underdog pick. I like to hear underdogs, but I gotta go with my guy, Myles Garrett. I feel like right now,
That's the front runner, I think, right now.
I feel like he's totally the guy on top right now. I mean, you look at all these games that he's played this year. I believe he's at 8.5 sacks on the year, so he's a half sack behind the leader, and he's also been a part of 6 assists with the Browns, probably between him and the other guys on defense, like
The Darius Smith.
Darius. And he's also forced like 4 fumbles this year. And he's also, I think he blocked a kick too.
He did.
He popped off in that game against the Colts, and that really solidified his spot to be on top of defensive player of the year. He's just an absolute animal. So I would go with Myles Garrett halfway through the season for defensive player. It's getting close to 6 o'clock, Matt. So we're gonna have to like
Yeah.
pick things up really quick here.
Yeah, that's fine. What is it? Comeback player of the year?
Comeback player of the year is next.
Let's go. I don't know. But the only one I really know is going to be Saquon, because I don't really think anyone got injured that was that big of a name.
I was gonna say Tua Tagovailoa for comeback player of the year.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Tua. Yeah,
On this
yeah.
one.
After what happened to him, give me Tua. He's balling out.
All right, we both agree he's balling out. Next one, coach of the year, Matt.
Mike McDaniels.
He's coach of the year for style and comedy, but I don't think he's the coach of the year, in my opinion.
And I'm not gonna say Andy Reid. I'm not
It's
gonna
not
say.
Andy Reid.
I'm not gonna
I don't
say.
think.
What's the Eagles head coach's name?
Um,
Not Nick Fangio.
I can't even think of his
I
name.
don't know. I might go with Doug Peterson. I don't know.
I was gonna go with Dan Campbell on this one.
Oh, that's like oh my! How did I forget about him?
Dude, you forgot the guy you love, Dan.
Dan the man.
Dude, aka Bob Duncan on Good Luck Charlie.
Yes.
So, are you going with Dan or are you gonna go with Mike?
I'm gonna go with Doug Peterson. Actually,
Doug Peterson. Okay, okay. How about so obviously we haven't seen too many like crazy plays this year, but play of the year.
I'm gonna have to go with the Broncos Hail Mary against the Commanders.
Did that do anything for the game?
No, they still lost that game, but still, it's the only crazy play that I can think of.
I mean, yeah, I can't really think of many crazy plays that have happened this year, not gonna lie. I'm trying to think of like a spectacular catch or something that's happened. Um, Viewers of our podcast, let us know what you think the play of the year is because at this point right now, I can't really think of a play of the year
Mm-mm.
except for like a game-winning field goal in overtime.
I mean, Joey Sly hit a 61-yarder. I mean, that could be one. Is it really a field? Does it really come down to a field goal kick? Or I don't know. AJ Brown's catch against the Commanders this past week was really nice.
That was a really good
That was
catch.
a nice catch.
I've been wowed by a few plays this year. I'm just trying to remember what they are.
If they were, they were all one-handers.
Man, are we gonna repeat history and have another one-handed catch be the play of the year? Yeah, I just can't think of a play.
I'm,
I'm also trying to think of maybe we'll see play of the year tonight.
I don't know. Maybe we'll.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
can't
know. I'm
think of
going with my
anything, man.
Commanders, the Broncos Commanders, Hail Mary.
Dude, I legit cannot think
There hasn't been any real wow plays, like you
of a
said.
play. I feel like the 49ers did something, but I just can't think of anything. Dude, I don't know. I legit don't know.
Neither do I.
How about our MVP?
All right.
I feel like we're gonna come up with the same two, but who's our top guy at the
It's gonna be
halfway point
Mahomes, but
of the
I'm not
season?
choosing Mahomes because he hasn't played good. The
It's
NFL's
not
just
Patrick Mahomes.
no. He's been playing like absolute dog crap this year. Um, for quarterback wise, I would say Kirk Cousins before he got hurt, but he's just overlooked. So I'm not gonna say him. I would probably say Tua and Tyreek.
I mean, it's a really good choice.
I mean, nothing much else.
The the amount of firepower they put into that offense, I mean, it's them doing it. Um, See, this is gonna be a dumb answer, but like, I think it's just like what's best to say right now. It's Jalen Hurts.
I mean,
Um,
I can see why, but he hasn't been playing that good either.
he's been playing better than Mahomes has,
Well, yeah, I'm not saying that he's worse than Mahomes, but I still think
and
there's still a lot better options out there.
the
Because,
fact that they also just got Julio Jones too, I feel like that's gonna help their
yeah.
offense a lot too.
But it also is so unfortunate because MVP has always been this QB award. It has to be a
Quarterback.
QB. It has to be a QB. The last non QB was Adrian Peterson back in 2012. That was the last non QB to ever win it.
Yep.
So I think they need to get off their high horse and say, okay, we really need to start looking at other skill position players, like running backs, receivers. Because if that's the case, then Tyreek definitely deserves it.
I absolutely agree with you that the MVP award they should either call it the quarterback of the year award or they actually call it most valuable player.
Mm-hmm.
And I I understand quarterbacks, yes, they have a lot to go through. They got to memorize the play calls, but
Well, so
that's
does
part of the
everyone else.
responsibility. That's part of the responsibility of it. And yes, so does everybody else. I mean, you playing on a football team, you're going to know what the expectations are as a player on yourself. And when it comes to that award, I feel like there's a lot more people than just the ones saying hut hike taking a snap who are deservable of getting it because I think Christian McCaffrey, he should be up there for it.
Mm-hmm.
Tyreek Hill should be up there for it. I'm not gonna lie, I think AJ Brown has really helped Jalen Hurts this year. So AJ Brown could also be a consideration for the award. You could put Miles Garrett up there for the award.
You have a Daniil
Is
Hunter. You can put so many guys up there, but it's going to be a quarterback.
and I just haven't seen an outstanding quarterback performance yet this year. I don't know if there's a quarterback who's thrown for 5 touchdown passes in a game yet.
No, Kirk was super close twice. But yeah,
And
those are. All right, so
go
who's
ahead.
your final decision?
I myself, I would go with Christian McCaffrey
Christian McCaffrey. All right.
as my MVP.
Oh, we still got to do our top tens and then our. All right, we're gonna fly through these in the last 10 minutes. We're gonna go through 2 segments in 10 minutes.
Oh yeah, we are.
So let's just
Let's just reveal it all
yeah,
at once.
we're not gonna do anything. You can do the honors. There you go. What the heck? You got the Ravens at 2?
The Ravens are balling, man.
All right.
All
You
right,
have the
I'll go through my
49ers
list
at
here.
10.
I'll go through my list here for the viewers. So, coming in at number 1, I got Philly. Number 2, I got Baltimore. 3, I have the Dolphins. 4 are the Chiefs. I only dropped them a couple spots down. At 5, I have the Jaguars. They're starting to trend up there for me. At 6, the Cowboys also trending. Number 7, though, I have the Bengals. I didn't even have them on the top 10 after last week. So they're up there too. They're ahead of the Lions at 8. I have the Seahawks at 9. And the 49ers are at 10 after losing 3 straight games.
That's crazy. Mine, I have 1 Eagles, 2 the Dolphins, 3 Chiefs, 4 Cowboys, 5 Jaguars, 6 Ravens, 7 the 49ers, 8 the Bills. I realize you don't have the Bills in your top 10. 9
Mm-hmm.
Seattle, and then 10 Detroit.
I'm shocked that you have the Lions at your 10 spot. I feel like you're going to give them a little more respect. I'm also surprised how much you're showing towards the Cowboys
Cowboys,
as
well, you said
well.
this. We said this was going to be kind of a against the Rams, kind of a good game, and it really wasn't. The Cowboys just blew them out.
Yeah, they did.
Anyways, let's get into our picks.
Pick time, baby. All right. I'll
Tonight,
type for
Thursday
you.
Night Football, Titans at Steelers. Does the Will Levis type train begin? Is the question. I'm going to say no. Give me Pittsburgh.
Ooh. I'm a little bit surprised. Last time Derrick Henry played a Thursday night football game, absolutely
4
popped off.
touchdowns, 99-yard touchdown rush.
And you know what? It's going to continue. King Henry is going to find his way back and put himself into either 4th or 3rd in rushing yard leaders on the season.
All right.
Titans.
Dolphins at Chiefs in Germany. I like the Dolphins in this one. I don't think they can stop their weapons.
Is Taylor Swift going to the game?
I don't think so.
I'm going to say the Dolphins then. Because I actually do believe in that crap, unfortunately. I think the NFL has kind of made it a little unfortunate for us to make us believe that crap. But the Dolphins are finally going to get a win against an above 500 team, which this would make it the Chiefs' second straight loss, which I feel like has never happened.
Yeah. We got the Vikings at the Falcons. If Kirk Cousins was playing, it would be a guaranteed win. But I'm still gonna go with the Vikings. I still think
Ooh.
they have an identity. I mean, they're playing one of the I think the worst 4-4 team in football. Their record does not show.
Here's a problem. Like, yeah, Kirk Cousins is hurt. Who's starting this
Jaron
week?
Hall, our 5th round pick.
Was that the guy who was in against the Packers for a few minutes?
Yes.
Okay, I'm picking the Falcons. Because, I mean, he looked like absolute garbage against the
You're
Packers
not wrong.
in the final few minutes. And I was like, if Kirk Cousins would have got hurt at halftime, the Packers would have won the game.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I'm picking the Falcons. They are a pretty bad 4-4 team, but, yep.
Bears at Saints. Do we need to say no more? Give me the Saints.
Is Justin Fields coming back?
No.
Either way, I was gonna go with the Saints. Just had to ask that question. Just because, yeah, I think the Saints are a much better team, and it's in New Orleans. Their defense is going to be making the Bears turn to shambles.
Yeah. Rams at Packers. I'm gonna take the Rams.
This is a really interesting one because the Rams really struggled last week, and so did the Packers. And honestly, as a Packer fan, I see the Packers being close to one of the worst teams in the league. They can't get anything going at all on offense. I believe they've only scored 6 points in the first half
All
this
year.
year, excluding actually, yeah, all year. Um, so it's absolutely embarrassing. Hopefully this team stops it up. They just lost Rasul Douglas, one of their better corners on the team, probably one of their best corners this year because Jair is just playing like crap. And he's been injured. Packers have had a bunch of injuries. It's not looking good for Green Bay. I'm going with the Rams too. Our next game that we have here is the Commanders at the Patriots. I'll do the first pick on this one.
You do that.
Um, the Patriots have started to improve a little more. Like that win they had against the Bills is really done a lot for me, and I think it's another reason why I don't have the Bills in my top 10, and they barely got by Tampa Bay. So I'm gonna go with the Patriots in this one.
I don't know. The Commanders played really well against the Eagles.
I did.
I'm gonna take the Commanders.
I believe almost every time that, or it might be every time that we pick different teams when it's the Patriots playing, and I go with the Patriots get absolutely schmucked on.
They do.
So hopefully that doesn't happen this time. But our next game is the Seattle Seahawks going in to Baltimore. This will be a really good game.
This will be a very good game, yes.
I'm gonna take the Ravens though. I think they're just riding a higher high than the Seahawks are, even though they beat one of the best defenses in the NFL last week in the Browns.
I agree with you on that. I'm going to take Baltimore as well.
Baltimore on both sides. And then our next game is the Buccaneers against the Texans. This one will be in Houston. I don't have really much to say about this one, except I think the Texans are gonna just like come out of nowhere after a big struggle last week against the Panthers, who are the only winless team. No more winless teams in the NFL, Matt. I'm picking the Texans to win this game, though.
I'm going to take the Buccaneers in this one. I still think the Buccaneers are still better.
Fair pick, fair pick. And then the next game we got is the Cardinals going into Cleveland. I don't even know who's quarterbacking for the Cardinals at this point, with Murr from Impractical Jokers being their coach.
Just say the Browns.
Yeah, I'm picking the Browns.
I'm taking the Browns as well.
I don't even know who's quarterback for the Browns this week.
I don't know.
But their defense is better. That's all that matters to
All
me.
right. Colts at Carolina. I'm going to take the Colts. Colts are just a better team.
The Colts are a better team. I think Jonathan Taylor, he's going to just absolutely turn into beast mode this week, and they're going to roll on the Panthers. Give me the Colts.
Giants at Raiders. Two very poverty franchises. I'm going to choose the less poverty one. Give me the Raiders.
I think poverty is the more friendly option to say
Yes.
in this type of matchup. I'm glad I didn't go with the Giants last week. That is such a bad game, but also a good game at the same time. For those of you who didn't watch the Giants and the Jets, it was like the only overtime game last week, but it is very low scoring, like the least amount of passing yards ever in a game from both sides. But I'm gonna go with the Raiders just because it's in Vegas. Next game we got here though is the Cowboys against the Eagles. This is Sunday night, or no, is it Sunday Night Football?
No.
No, it's not. It's the last game in the afternoon on Sunday.
I think this is going to be a very close game, but I do think the Cowboys are going to win.
Oh, you cut out there on me.
I'm picking the Cowboys.
Oh, you're thinking Cowboys. Okay. So, according to what I said earlier with the NFC East being the Eagles' biggest weakness, this might have to be when I choose the Cowboys because I kind of forced myself into doing that. Yeah, I'm picking Dallas as well. They've been owning Philadelphia recently, so that'll be a good one. But then Sunday Night Football, it's the Damar Hamlin incident game.
Yeah. I think this is going to be a Bills game for me. I'm going to take the Bills.
Hates the Bills. I'm going with the Bengals in this one. I think the Bengals are just going to turn into domination mode for the rest of the season again because they started cold the last 2 years and they picked things up very quick, and I like the Bengals. Last game.
Chargers at Jets. For some reason, I really like the Jets in this one.
For some reason, I like your idea.
I don't know. I like the Jets in this one. I'm taking the Jets.
I'm picking the Jets too. I mean, if they can get Aaron Rodgers back in time, like this team could actually become dangerous. But another big fear for them is what if he comes back too early and gets injured again? Yeah, I'm taking the Jets over the Chargers as well. So that's all of our picks for the week. My voice is practically gone. I don't know how I'm still talking. I'll let you take it away.
All right. Signing out from the away sideline at Lakeland University, Matt Carley, a.k.a. Matty Icy, your weekly pick'em leader at 69-57. I don't know what my record is. I don't know how my loss is.
You are 69-37?
69-37.
Gosh. Okay. Wow, it just got really dark in here too.
Yeah,
it's actually been dark here for a while. Here on the home sideline, now it's just darkness. Call on Batman. Batman Returns. But yeah, here on the home sideline here in Stevens Point is your boy Brendan Retzloff, aka 99 Bretts, Bretts.golf, Brendini. This has been episode 10 of the Dots Podcast. We thank all of you guys for watching. My voice is about to go out again because I'm starting to get sick, which is very unfortunate. But enjoy the Thursday night football game. It is the Steelers and the Titans. Should be a really good one. We will see you guys next week. Peace.